Yes, sir.
One of the greatest issues facing my generation of students is solving America's energy and environmental challenges. So you interviewed the CEO of Duke Energy and said some surprising things. Can you talk about that and what you thought?
Well, we did talk to the CEO of Duke Energy, and he was very interested in those days in essentially cleaning up coal. The United States is the Saudi Arabia of coal. We have more coal than any other country on earth. It is an enormous resource. Most of the energy generated in this country by our power plants, as a result, is generated by coal. There's just one big problem with that, and that is coal is the, if you will, dirtiest greenhouse gas emitting fossil fuel. It just is. So we're blessed enormously on one side with this incredible wealth of coal, and yet on the other side, it is a difficult problem in terms of greenhouse gas emitting gases. So a lot of time, energy, and research is going into trying to figure out how to have our cake and eat it too. How to clean up the emissions from coal so that we can use this very cheap and plentiful resource that we own instead of importing it from someplace else in the country, in the world rather, and clean up those emissions so that we don't heat up the atmosphere and cause all of the problems attendant with global warming. It turns out to be an extremely difficult and expensive problem. There will be a technological fix to that. We will figure it out eventually. I think we have to figure it out because we've got to use the coal that we have, and yet we can't let the planet heat up beyond what it is already. And so I have to believe that there's going to be a solution to that problem, and the gentleman who runs Duke Energy was trying to make his power plants cleaner and still use coal. It's a tremendous challenge, and in a school here, in a university so famous for engineering, I hope a lot of our Clemson students are working on exactly this problem. If you're looking for an opportunity to increase the national security of the United States and save the world, this is a great place to work, is on this issue of taking America's plentiful and cheap and coal and turning it into a fuel that is friendlier for the environment. It's quite a challenge. Now we're running out of time. I don't know who my time proctor is in this room, but I'll take another question or two. Eddie, are you here? Oh, Eddie stepped out. Eddie Smith? Okay, all right. I just wanted to double check. I tell you what, I need to let all of you go. Let me take two more questions and we'll call it a day. Yes, sir.
My name is David. I'm a DJ and something of a news reporter at WSBF, campus radio station. And I was just wondering, do you have any say into what goes into the broadcast, and if so, how much?
That's my whole job. As I alluded to earlier, the anchoring part that I do at the end of the day is not the most important thing I do all day. I'm also the managing editor of the broadcast, and we go to work, my team of senior producers and I go to work about 7:30 in the morning, and we work all day figuring out what we're going to cover, how we're going to cover it, and what we're going to be able to put in our 30-minute broadcast from our bureaus all around the world. And then as the afternoon comes on, we start working on all the scripts. All the correspondents send in all their scripts, and I edit every script myself. I work with our writers to edit and write all of the parts of the broadcast. There really is no part of the broadcast that doesn't go through my hands. For better or worse, if you see something on the broadcast that you hated, well, that was me too. So I get that I don't always get it right, but I try to. And so we work a 13-hour day. Most of the people at CBS News seem to work a 13-hour day. And it's very time-consuming. It's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love. And so the answer to your question is I have my hands on just about everything. Yes?
I was just going to say, I'm Julia, by the way, and I wanted to say initially, what was the most difficult interview you've ever conducted, and how do you separate your personal life and your work life?
Oh boy, that's See, that's the trick. That's the trick at a White House news conference. You know, you're supposed to stand up and ask the president one question, but you get two questions in instead. And the president almost always plays. It amazes me that he'll answer both questions, but he does. So I'll answer both of yours. Most difficult interview, maybe the difficult but fun, was Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran. I had an opportunity to interview President Ahmadinejad. A couple of years ago, we were in Tehran. We were in his rose garden. Apparently, if you're a head of state, you have to have a rose garden. Hamid Karzai in Kabul has a rose garden outside his office. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has a rose garden. And of course, our rose garden is the most famous of all here in the United States. So I was determined to pin down Ahmadinejad and it was going to be a lot of fun because he's just the slipperiest character you would ever sit down with. He never answers a question. And so it was the follow-up questions again, same thing again. I wanted to get him to answer the question of whether they were building a nuclear weapon. And I asked him the question and he obfuscated, and I asked him a question again and he dodged it, and I asked him again and he dodged it, and I said, hey, you know what, you never say yes or no. And at one point he said, well, what are you looking for? And I said, I would like a yes or no. Are you building a nuclear weapon or are you not? And he obfuscated again. I went back and followed up one more time, and finally he looked up at me and he said, are you a CIA agent? He says, this is Iran and I am president of this country, as in, how dare you talk to me that way? But he wasn't used to being on 60 Minutes, but now he's had that experience. And you know, you don't separate your professional life and your personal life if you get it right. They're not separate things. They're two halves of a whole. And my wife Jane, who's here today, and I have been married for 28 years. And she has supported each and everything that I have done over all of these years, and I have supported her in all of the work that she's done, and it's a partnership. It's a wonderful partnership. I'm gone way too much. That's part of the job. I'm in hazardous places way too much. But when you think about it, there are a lot of Americans who are in hazardous places. Our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, police officers, firemen, go on and on and on. There are a lot of professions that are hazardous in that way, much more hazardous than mine. But Jane and I have worked together to raise our children and build a home and build a family, and frequently they go with me on assignment. My son and my daughter and my wife and I'll take them on a 60 Minutes assignment, and we'll go do something fun every once in a while. So it's the kind of thing that you never want to separate. You always want the professional side and the personal side to work together to create something important, and what's important is the family. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Great to be with you. Thank you. Great to be with you.